From Hollywood to your hood, public breakdowns are everywhere. But what if we turn gossip into growth? On Allegedly, we react to the wildest viral stories, celebs spiraling, influencers breaking down, and infamous moments you can't unsee. But we don't just watch, we work. We break it down, do the self-work, and find the breakthrough hiding in their mistakes. New episodes drop every Monday on YouTube at My Coach Ministry, because your healing might just begin with someone else's headline. Allegedly, where the breakdown is the beginning of your breakthrough.
Thank you so much for staying with me on Refresh, Relax, Renew podcast. We're now in segment 3 of the episode. Welcome to Allegedly. Episode 26 promised to be interesting. And it is my hope that as we go through this episode that we will learn a thing or two. What I want to say before I even go to the disclaimer is this, right? We need to become more thoughtful, more intentional, and more honest about our relationships and what we bring to those relationships. We need to do some self-checks to ask ourselves, am I going to the right person with my lamentations? Am I going to the right person to vent? Am I going to the right person to complain? Is this friendship for the purpose of my venting? What is this relationship for? Does this person have the capacity to handle my venting? Does this person have the capacity to handle my lamentations? Am I creating and harboring these quote unquote relationships I call friendships because I lack the willingness to invest in therapy and coaching and actual help to solve my problems, or at least to explore my problems? Because for some persons, we just want to talk about the problem. We're not really trying to solve it, right? And we need to ask ourselves before we open our mouth. This is something I go through. There are times when I feel like, oh my gosh, I need to talk to someone about this. And I sit to myself and I say, when you talk to this person about this, Raquel, when you leave that conversation, what does their day look like? What's their day going to look like after that? And is this something that they can solve? Is this a problem they can solve when you go to them? Because if they cannot solve the problem, then go deal with the problem. And then when you get the lesson from it, then have the conversation with them. You know what I mean? So are you bringing value to these relationships you claim to have? Or are they just an excuse for you not to invest in the correct support that you need? Therapy, coaching, you know what I mean? I'm just saying we have to ask ourselves, because I don't know about you, but I know for me, a lot of the times sometimes when I get anxious, it's not because anything is happening in my life. Sometimes it's because something is happening in somebody else's life and they have brought me into it, and now I become anxious about it. No, they did not tell me to become anxious, so it's not their fault, right? But I want to say to someone who, if you care about me, you know me, so consider me. Am I the person you vent to, or am I the person you come seek solution from? Like, based on who I am and what resources I offer, is what you're about to tell me going to help either of us? Because I'll tell you who I'm not the person you come and sit down and just lament with. I'm not that person. You can tell me about an incident like one time, but if this is something that's a recurring theme in your life where every now and again this thing is happening, I am not the person. Nobody but a therapist is. We need to know when to get therapy. A lot of us don't seek therapy, don't seek coaching, because we keep going to friends and associates who are not sitting down and evaluating and exploring the problem we're having the way it needs to be fleshed out. And then when we're done talking, we solve the emotional trigger, but the real problem still sits. So yeah, talk about it and I feel good now because I got it off my chest. Now what? You got it off your chest, but you never got it out of your nervous system. You never had it dealt with. You know what I mean? We have to, if we really say we love and care for people, then we should never misuse them. And we really should consider what, because I think if in a lot of cases, if we stop misusing people, we sometimes find that we don't even need them. It's like we're hoarding people sometimes to misuse them for things that we know they can't help us. I'm just putting that out there, something to consider, right? So this is allegedly, and no, before I go there, I want to, this is also something I always say. Now, when we have these conversations where I'm talking about other people's story, I'm so careful. I'm really cautious when I talk about other people's lives, because I really don't know anything. I don't know a thing. I'm just trying to figure things out. I'm not an expert in any other area of life except me. And even that is a work in progress, okay? So I don't have the answers. I have more questions than I have answers. I want to say thank you to all the persons who will be mentioned in my podcast today. I want to say thank you to Tyra. I want to say thank you to everyone I encounter, and anybody who's listening to this and think this is about you. It is not. It is just something that sits on my heart, and I want to talk about it. It's not about any specific person, so please do not receive it that way. It's, if you find benefit in the conversation or in the information I'm sharing, well, great. I'm happy for that, because this is our resource for support, is what I hope anyway. So I just want to say thank you to all the persons who will be mentioned, and we honor you, we salute you, and we value you and your story. So we thank you for your experiences and your breakdowns that will inspire us to do our self-work so we can achieve breakthroughs in this life. And that's the approach that we take here. So this is not a joke. This is not funny. This is real life. And the goal is self-empowerment, self-growth, self-development, even to trigger our own breakdown, with the hope that that breakdown will lead to us doing our self-work so we can become our better selves and fulfill our fullest potential, right? And live our best lives. That's the goal. That is the goal. So, copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringed. So the video clips and everything that I'm using here are all under fair use for research and news reporting and commenting and teaching as well. So please understand that. So the first story that we're going to be looking at is I'm reacting to the tragic news surrounding Tyra Spaulding, former Miss Universe Jamaica finalist, assistant accountant. I'm ready for it to start playing, but yes. So this is the person. Former Miss Universe contestant Tyra Spaulding suspected suicide. And let me just say this, this is a sensitive topic. I'm going to be using the words because this is a serious conversation. I'm not going to be saying unaliving or anything. I'm going to be using the word with respect and understanding that this is a real issue and we want to talk about it head on. We want to talk about it for what it is. All right? Okay. And this is why I'm saying we need to be careful or cautious not to misuse the people we claim to love. Your friends and your family, they're not your therapists. Your friends and your family, they're not your mediators unless you approach them directly for that support. I need therapy. Can you offer me can you offer me an hour? Be clear, like I'm just saying, be intentional with how we use the people in our lives because you don't know what happens when you leave feeling great and you feel, yes, I've vented, I've emptied myself, I feel so much better. What weight do they carry when you leave? Do you care? Do you care what weight they carry when you leave? I'm not saying this is the reason for what happened to her, but as I read her story and I saw that she was a mental health advocate, you see, sometimes the people who are trying to find a solution or the people trying to help. Because I did counseling as an associate, as the associate part of my degree, right? And when I did counseling, I really thought counseling was what I was passionate about. I had to stop. I did 6 months in a school and I had to stop because I had one kid who was obsessed. One kid was obsessed with truck drivers. And then I had another student who became obsessed with me. And I remember one of the big lessons I had to learn was I was getting so close to her. One of them, I wasn't available for them to talk to me, and it was reported that that student brought a knife to school, threatening to commit suicide because she couldn't reach me. This actually happened. Yes, and I remember a second one, because this is it, right? This was me training to become a counselor, right? So I wasn't fully there yet, but clearly I wasn't equipped, because it's like, how do I explain it? You're not there to be a friend. You're there to help them. You're not there to become a solace, a place where they come and hide. You're not there to walk for them. You're there to help them get up and walk for themselves. Why am I sharing that? I'm sharing that to say I had to leave that because I was taking it home. And that's not the job. That tells me that I'm not equipped for the job. And then I later realized that coaching is my thing. My thing is helping you find solution. So me there doing something that was in direct contrast to my wellness, and I didn't even realize at the time. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, be careful how you're using the people in your life. It cannot just be you're talking to them just because you want somewhere to vent. No, if you need somewhere to vent, you must consider, where is the best place for me to do it? Who's the best person for me to do it with? It can't just be, let me drop this on my mother because she's my mother. No. Does my mother have the capacity to handle what I'm about to tell her? Because you may need to go to a therapist to tell them that. Not your mother, not your wife, not your husband. I just want us to bear that in mind as we go through this. Now let me go to the actual story. So let's be clear, this is not gossip, it's not a spectacle. It's a moment for pause, perspective, and painful honesty, because sometimes the stories we tell in death can save lives in the living, which is why I'm going to be using real words. So before you listen, understand that I'm going to use the word suicide. All right, good. So Tyra's impact, before we even talk about the fact she's no longer here, let's talk about her impact, right? First, let's honor her legacy. Tyra wasn't just beauty, she was brilliance, the reports show. She represented Jamaica on the Miss Universe stage, not only carrying our colors, but expanding what beauty and wellness means in 2023. She worked as an assistant accountant, proof that excellence can wear many crowns at once. She had the courage to speak out, publicly documenting her own battle with suicidal thoughts in YouTube videos, naming what so many feel but silence. Naming what so many feel but silence. And in that honesty, she gave language to a struggle that others could barely whisper. Her openness forced our media, our institutions, even our communities to do something rare: center suicide prevention. Headlines carried helpline numbers. National conversations shifted toward mental health. Globally, her story traveled, raising awareness far beyond Kingston. Her employer showed compassion, helping provide therapy support, a model for workplaces everywhere. And just saying that just now, I felt an emotional. I felt very emotional because I had a memory. Her employer showed compassion, helping provide therapy support, a model for workplaces everywhere. I remember I worked at a particular place once, and when my dad passed, I sent emails and everything to notify persons, and I'll never forget, I was sitting at the hospital, sitting right outside of the hospital where the doctors told me to wait because he was in a coma, and I was waiting, and I remember I got a call asking me about not being at work, and I'm like, but I sent an email and I copied all the relevant persons. And I remember as I was going into my email to check to make sure you really did call, because I said it that I called, but I'm like, let me check to make sure, not call, let me check to make sure I really did send an email. And I remember as I was going through the emails, I saw I got a memo. Was it 7 memos I got, or I got a memo? And I was so crushed. The one person in life who I was connected to was in a coma. And that was when my workplace felt they need to send me a memo about not coming in, when I had emailed all the relevant people about it, including the head of the organization. Everyone was emailed about it, including the person who sent me that memo. And I remember I sent a memo back because I'm saying, how could you do that? How can you, even if I hadn't sent anything, when I tell you where I'm at, how do you do that to somebody? I think it was 7 memos I got. And I remember when in my response where I said, things like this can cause people to hurt themselves. How could you do that? And I remember I had submitted a report, and I'm so thankful because I got a response, and actions were taken. You know, there's some workspaces that have some people in it that have not yet dealt with their own trauma, so they have no capacity to care for the people they lead. They just don't have the capacity. And I'm not saying they're good or bad people. I'm just saying they don't have the capacity. So when I saw that just now, that was what flashed back, and I felt this emotional thing that I almost cried, but I'm like, no, I'll just talk about it. It just flashed back. And my father passed that day, you know, with me sitting out there. And I remember when they told me, I was just blank. Just blank, you know? You know where I'm at. Because when you called me, I told you. And then you went on to say, you don't see the message, blah, blah, blah. But I did. I didn't just send it to one person. I copied multiple people on it. We have to care. Like, we keep talking about we care. Do we care? Do we care? Do we have capacity to care? Because if we're not seeking healing for ourselves, because a lot of us, we're not seeking healing, we just run to somebody to vent. We're just venting all over the place and thinking that after we've vented, oh, the problem is treated. No, it's not. No, it's not, which is why you keep lamenting about it. Every conversation you lament about it. You're not lamenting about the healing from it, you're lamenting about it. And it shows up in, you're telling the story in different colors. Yes? We have to become a health and help-seeking culture, not just for fitness, because that seems to be the only health that people understand is when you start working out. Come on. All right. So anyway, so her employer showed compassion, helping provide therapy support, a model for workplaces everywhere. Her peers and the pageant community honored her as light, grace, and kindness. Even in loss, her life rippled into conversations, care, and change. Let's play this video.
My mind is trying to kill me. And if I do nothing, I am going to die, guys. Every day I get up, my mind tells me to go and jump off a building. It tells me to go and overdose on pills. It tells me to go and hurt myself.
Tragedies.
I can't stand that music. Sometimes we should just let things be what they are. But anyway, I've struggled with suicidal ideation after a major thing happened to me in 2017. For 6 years, I could not leave the house. I would try, and when I say leave the house, I mean go outside. I would go to the doorway and I would just collapse, knees to chest, and just bawl until I couldn't breathe because I was too scared to go out. I could not go outside, and I couldn't stop crying. I remember once I cried for 2 weeks. I never left the bed. I never ate. I never nothing. I was just crying. I cried until I started having muscle contract, I think is what it's called, in my stomach. I remember I visited New York and there was a pastor. I'll never forget. And You know, when you're in the congregation and that pastor comes to you. I was so upset. I remember the pastor came to me. I think he was seated. Yes, he picked me out. I went ahead, and then I remember he sat and he invited two ladies to come. And I remember he had them put their hand on my tummy and prayed for me. Nobody knew this was happening to me. I never spoke about it. I didn't start talking about it until in my healing process. Yes. And I remember he said to me, there were three things he told me: my tummy problem, and I was having it because I had cried so much that I started having a lot of muscle contract. But then I realized too later on that I wasn't eating. I didn't remember, you know. And then I remember he said to me, no more weeping. You're weeping. Your weeping is over. No more weeping. I mean, I didn't even know how he knew, because when I tell you, I just kept crying because, yeah, that was a whole other thing. But I had become so depressed because I just didn't understand why everything had to be ripped from me and the way it happened. And that was one part of what hurt me. But what devastated me was that I realized how alone I was, and all of those people who I thought these were friends and I was making sacrifices for, and I was choosing everybody else to do this and do that. And I realized that here I was, and nobody believed me. Nobody believed in me. Nobody showed up and said, anyway, I'm just saying, because of this, for me, my suicidal ideation came from me feeling like I wasted my life and I did not do well by myself because I chose the wrong people and all of these things happened, and here I caused all of this that happened to me. And so I and it's something I still struggle with, the thought of I messed up my life and I feel like I want to do over. I've completely messed up my life, and those were the thoughts I was having. And then I felt like I failed the people who I cared about. I kept feeling like I'm no good, like I'm just failing you. I'm failing. And then the world just kept feeling like I was in hell, like poverty, homelessness. It's like it's like the world just seemed a dark place. And when I look back at it, it's not that I'd gone through something, but I was okay. I was actually moving through it well. I got one of my angels that I talked to you about earlier. That angel showed up, gave me that bridge, gave me an opportunity to do something and that's what saved my life actually. And no matter how when I say thank you and stuff, I don't know that the person actually really understands how deep my gratitude run. And he saved my life. Saved me from myself is what I'm talking about. From myself. Yeah. So the people who are in our lives, when you listen to her, when she said, her mind is attacking her. I know what that feels like. If I don't sit on top of my mind, I have to be on top of this, wherever it is. I have to be on top of my mind, which is why I say, even to persons, this is who I am. Don't come to me with things that's not about who I am, because I still struggle with, even if I feel like I have someone who I really care about who is suffering, I start thinking, so how can I be over here having a good time and they're suffering? What's going on? And then my adrenaline start rushing, and then I realize, but you can't change their lives for them. They're not asking you for help. You're supposed to just listen. But I don't have the capacity to listen to the same thing over and over and over, even if it takes different, even if it's the same story but different characters. That same struggle thing, it's difficult for me. Difficult because my thing is, can we get a solution then? Because I guess in a way I feel like it's like I feel like, oh my God, they're in problems. Oh my God, let's help them before they lose everything like I did, or like I don't want them to feel as desolate as I felt. I don't want them to feel as alone, but I realize that that's my thing, not theirs. I can't project this on them. They're good with just talking about the problem. At least that's how it appears. I don't know. But I'm just saying we have to be more thoughtful of what am I taking to this person, no matter how strong they seem. And we're so fixated on, oh, she's pretty, and oh, she looked good, and oh, she was a Miss Universe, that we probably miss the sorrows in their eyes because we're so focused on what looks pretty. When I want to distract people, that's what I do. I give you what you need to focus on. And that's why when I said to you, this angel that I met, oh my gosh, man, for the first time I met someone that made me feel seen. Like see the girl, the person in me. A lot of us are in crowds of people telling us they love us, and all we get from them is emptiness, space holders, because they don't even consider us, they don't even really know us, and they just come and dump things on us without thinking, who am I dumping this on? We have to think about it, people. What she's talking about is absolutely, and more of us are going through this than we know. I have to sit on top of my mind because, listen, I am a child that grew up without stability and security. There are certain things that I can't even think about. I have this thing right now that happened to me, right? Because I've gone through a lot of hunger where if my groceries are running out, let's say my groceries are running out, right? And I have like the last set of thing to prepare for meal, I can't eat it. I have to go hungry while there's at least one meal there. It's something that I have to tell my mind that there's a meal there. I can't eat that last meal and then be hungry and I have nothing to eat. I don't know if you're understanding me. It's a real thing. Yeah. Also, there are things with me that I still have where I cannot focus on anything that's going to make me feel devalued. Like when I was talking about, I don't know if I said it, if in the part earlier where, like, let's say I hire someone to do something and that person is not doing their job. I can go to a place where I feel like, why isn't my money enough? And if I'm not careful, I start going down the road of, why? I start adding that to some other old story of, I'm not feeling valued, blah, blah, blah. And what I'm trying to say is if I allow that to play for too long, for a minute longer than it should, I will start sinking into a dark place and start curling up and feeling like, okay, this world is not a safe place. Like what I'm trying to say is you've got to, if you really care about the people in your life, you need to learn their capacity. You need to learn their capacity because nobody is as strong as you think. This world is what it is. And if we're gonna, sometimes I don't understand when people like, oh, I want to live till I'm so old, and how could you do that? And why would you want to take your own life? Insensitive much? Insensitive much? You may not understand why someone might want to take their own life, but they do. Nobody can sell to me that this world is so beautiful and wonderful. And if you are that connected with the world, then do you know God? If the world is so sweet for you, do you actually know God? Is where my mind goes. Do you know who God is? Because I don't know how sweet this world could be if one person hungry. Do you know what hunger feels like? There's some news stories I cannot watch because I know only too well what that pain feels like. Homelessness. I can't watch those things. So when people behaving like there are no issues in this world, or they're just at such peace with all the issues of this world so they could live forever here. I don't know about you. People who commit suicide to me are brave people. I don't encourage it, but you have to be brave to take your own self. You have to be. Because it's not just pain why someone does something like that. And I'm going to share with you some reasons people do that you might not have even given thought to, right? But here's the harder part. We often ask the wrong questions. Why would somebody do this? They had so much to live for. Says who? When I was in it, when I was suicidal, I didn't know who I was. I would say to people, This is not me. I don't know who this is because I'm not here. And nobody understood me. And I would be trying to explain to someone that this is not who I am. Like, the person who I am is not here. This is not me. Who you're seeing and hearing is not me. I don't know who this person is, but the person who I know myself to be is not here. She's not here. And nobody could understand me. People would just think, oh, what year are you in? No. And I'll never forget one day I was sitting on the sofa and I had I don't know if you call that a vision, or like, for me, it's like a video played in my mind, like this very quick, like, and it's like I saw myself at the corner of the house, and it's like I was peeking around and I smiled and I said, I'm coming back. And I remember I called my friend. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just had this video run through my mind and I felt it. It's like I felt it. And I remember saying to her, oh my gosh, I told you I wasn't here. And I know for the people listening, I could see even looks on their faces like, what's this girl talking about? I was not there. When 2017 happened to me, I lost who I was. I didn't just lose things, the things I worked my ass off for. I lost who I was, because when someone tells lies on you, it's like you start thinking. At one point in time, I started believing the lies, because I'm saying to myself, but why would somebody just lie? That's why when I saw what people did to Sean Combs, I'm like, don't we get it? Like, even if he is the worst human being on the planet, he is still a being. He still has blood running through his veins. And for the media, the security forces, everybody came down on this man. He is still a person. He's still a person. He still feels. He still breathes. So I don't understand when people start saying, oh my God, this word, this and this word, that, because thank God, let me tell you, I am myself now, and suicide doesn't even cross my mind. It's not who I am, but I wasn't myself. I was not myself. I didn't know who that girl was walking around in my body. I cursed God. I felt so in such a dark place. I remember, and those close, well, the only person, what would I think I only shared it with two persons, one or two. I don't know if it's two, but one person I know I shared it with, when I said, in the mornings, when I'm going to bed, I'd be like, okay, God, this is our agreement. All right. I love you. I thank you. Great life. All of this. I'm thankful, but I'm ready. And for nights, like weeks, months, I was doing this. I'm like, God, I'm ready. I promise you, I'm just ready. I'm ready. Don't let me wake up tomorrow morning. Please. I'm not mad. Just let us agree that in the morning, I will not wake up. And I go to my bed, and in the morning, I'm barely like opening my eyes, like, and be like, I'm still here. I thought there was a God. Let me tell you something. I cursed God. Not cursed at God. Cursed God. I cursed God. I hated the idea of a God. I spoke in languages to God that only God understands. And that's why when I say to you now, know God for yourself, know God for yourself. Because while I was busy thinking I was cursing God, I was merely talking to my Father. God was really extracting the darkness from me. Learn God for yourself so you can go to God your way on your terms, and don't let people limit how you talk to God. What do you mean you call Lord's name in vain? There's no such thing as calling God's name in vain, because calling God's name is to call on God. So how can you do it in vain? I'm just saying, we need to speak the truth of what the world is, and then say, yes, the world is messed up, but I love it here. I do not love it here. I want to go wherever my God is. That's where I want to go, and I'm always ready. I'm not going to hurt myself, but I'm always ready. I am ready right now to go wherever. I hear people, there's a song that they sing, "Come Jesus, come." We need to stop lying. Do you really want Jesus to come? Do you want Jesus to come? If all you say about Christ is true, do you really want him to come? Or is it just the music that takes over and you get you so emotionally charged? You just love to sing the song. Because you see, a lot of the things we sing, even me, it's the music why I sing it. I don't really like the song, but the music gets me going. The truth is, sometimes the very things we assume should anchor us are the same things that tip us overboard. That's what I'm trying to say. Are the same things that tip us overboard, right? So research shows these things. Perfectionism and imposter syndrome. That's also something that I used to be bothered by. Like, you feel like, how could I achieve this? I'm nobody. And this is something I used to say to myself, well, if I buy a BMW tomorrow, it means that BMW lost its value for it to come to me. It's not that I increased in value to meet it. Because I am a nobody. I'm the regular piglet. I'm the little girl who used to run around in the hills that everyone thought was the ugliest. Just the only thing they thought good about me was that I was smart. Nobody wanted to be bothered with me. That was my interpretation of it. That's not necessarily the reality of it, but that was how I consumed it. So the perfectionism and imposter syndrome. The applause looks like affirmation, but inside it feels like fraudulence. Being the strong one, if there's ever such a thing. I don't know that there's any such thing as the strong one. There's no strong one. It's just, I believe, those who are better at hiding and at coping, if they're actually coping. Yeah. Caregivers, pastors, mothers, praised as pillars, silently crack under loads no one else can carry. The invisible illness, chronic pain, fatigue, or depression masked by a smile. You ever heard somebody praying to God and thanking God, but wrapped in the thankfulness is life is hard, and wrapped in the here, and a healing, and the struggle and the stress. That's not praise. That's cause for concern. That's cause for concern. Some of us don't even know the difference between a prayer and a lamentation, because a lot of us, you know what I love about my book? Let me tell you what I love about this book of prayers that I wrote. There's no lamentation in it. There's direct ask. I ask God for luxurious living because I want to live in comfort. But do we actually pray that way? Are our prayers lined with lamentations and complaint? But we're busy thinking we're praying, which is why therapy and coaching is important. I am here today because of therapy and coaching, especially coaching. That helped me learn how to use the trauma and not be used by the trauma. Yes. Anyway, sleepless hustle. Insomnia dressed up as ambition, quietly eroding resilience. Milestones that should bring joy, new mothers at the height of celebration quietly face suicidal risks. Retirement, role exits, the freedom shock. When the role that defined you fades, purpose goes missing. Hero jobs, nurses, doctors, soldiers, pastors, celebrated for service, crushed by moral injury. I work with pastors, and sometimes, like when I tell you, I sit with God, I'm like, God, please help me bring solutions to these people. Like, I'm passionate about supporting them. And sometimes there's so much more I feel like I could do, especially in coaching, but you can't choose your client as a coach. They have to choose you, and so for me, I make sure in the areas that they choose for me to deliver, I go extra hard. Yeah. I never, like, if you pay me $10, I deliver $20 worth. Like I because I understand the role that they sit in. They're advocating for people, you know? And I stay ready for the day they call me to say, hey, I need your support. Yeah. And I don't say these things to them or whatever because I don't need to. I just do my job. I do my job in a way that they never have to worry or question. They never have to micromanage. I do that with intent because I want to lift burden. I don't want to add burden to them. So even when we go to work and stuff, and we understand we're working with business owners are just mere entrepreneurs. Do your job. Don't wait for them to have to beg you to do your job. That's added stress. You know what I mean? Like, really value people, especially those who bring value to our lives. Good vibes, only pleasure. Social media's highlight reel forces everyone into comparison contests they can't win. You know, one of the things I don't do? I do not invest time in anything that could cause me to have envy. I've become very intentional about it. I am intentional about what news I watch because if it's going to make me too sad, I'm not watching it. No news is that important to me. None. Because I have to be well for anything that's important to me. And if this news story is going to make me unwell for it, then I'm not what it calls for. I also do not invest time in anything or anyone that's going to have me feeling like I lack something. Like, oh my gosh, I wish I had that. And I stay away from it. Too much relationship conversations, I stay away from it because I know I'm at a stage right now where I would have liked to have had a life partner, but I don't have one. So I know that's a touchy area for me. So I don't go there. I don't allow myself to sit in that trauma. I don't. I regulate my mind. I regulate the things I do for my well-being. And that is something we really need to think about. You don't have to watch. You know, one of the things I learned some time ago, I think it's over 2 years ago. I realized that when I went on social media, I was circulating messages, not because they spoke true to my life, but because they tickled my emotions. Like, you listen to a TikTok video and it's talking about how men this and men that and men that, and I've never experienced that before, but the way it's presented is so entertaining and it's so cute and it's so smart and it's so witty that you're like, yes, mm-hmm. And I found myself, it happened to me, I found myself repeating something, and I remember one night I was lying down and I'm like, you've never experienced that, girl, stop it. I'm like, girl, you have never experienced that. So become clear on your experiences and what you're championing, because that's just not true. And I had to make a conscious decision that no matter when I'm TikToking, because I do have my date nights with TikTok because I like TikTok. I think it has a good purpose. Like, of course it has a good purpose. That's why it exists. But like everything else, moderation, you know, and stay true to you. You've got to be true to who you are. The sudden calm, a mood shift we share, but clinicians warn can signal a resolved plan. A resolved plan. And the final one, the altruistic logic, believing loved ones would be safer, freer, and happier without you. Sometimes the thought isn't, I want to die. Sometimes it's, I can't bear to live long enough to watch the people I love suffer in ways I cannot stop. I don't want to be around and just not be of any good to anyone. You know? And it's still evident in the way I isolate myself. I literally isolate myself because I feel like that's the only thing I know how to do. Because I feel like I don't want to be in the lives of the people I actually care about, because my experience made me feel as though whenever I'm around, you're abusing me, so I must be causing you hurt. for the fact that you put hands on me, the fact that you do certain things, the fact that you don't listen, the fact that the way you talk to me is so disrespectful, the fact that it's like I'm not valued. I feel like that's me bringing that energy. So if I just stay away from them, then that is the best way for me to love them, because then they don't have to do anything that I'm not going to have to think is abusive, or because I would have been the one to influence it anyway. It's just crazy how our minds manage information, But I'm at the place where no, I understand that no, that's not the case. So dig deeper, Raquel, because yes, you're doing this for a reason, but what is the true reason? What's the real reason? I don't feel safe. Okay, so let's not put these other stories to it. You know what I mean? So that's why therapy is important. Coaching is important. It helps you. It's not necessarily that you're wrong, but sometimes the way you see it, the information may not be completely incorrect, but the perspective may be. You know what I mean? And so even for me, what I had to learn to face is truth. I didn't have to change truth to change to change the situation. And now my biggest defense is once I walk in my truth, I can handle anything else because I'm in truth. So universe is going to step in, and it's not going to require just me, but I have to be in truth for that to happen. Once I have clarity, I can understand how to deal with it. Yeah. So sometimes I'm going to repeat this. Sometimes the thought isn't I want to die. Sometimes it's I can't bear to live long enough to watch the people I love suffer in ways I cannot stop. I don't know that I want to be around to watch some people that I really, really love to have certain experiences. You know what I mean? But I'm learning that I'm getting stronger. I can handle it because I have been handling it. And I don't have to worry about how people perceive me handling it. I don't worry about people anymore. So the paradox, caring so deeply it hurts to stay alive, is a language most don't recognize, but many silently speak. Okay, so this young lady, God bless her, what we have to understand is it's not just about, oh, she had so much to live for. Furthermore, for me personally, I do not advocate for suicide. I do not promote it. In fact, I don't have anything that I want to say, you should do so and so. No, not me, right? And this, the least of all this, right? If you need advice on suicide, you should go see a therapist. I'm not one. My personal opinion on death is something that's different from many people's perspective. I'm okay with death. Death is not a bad thing to me. In fact, for me, I feel like death is the exit from a world where I get to watch people get bombed and watch people be hungry and watch people have to pay for land when nobody created it. These are the things that I can't spend too much time on because it does something to me. Yeah. Homelessness and things like that, the unnecessary trauma we all sit around and allow to happen to people. People are buying land. To me, it's like you're saying even the animal has a place here, but people don't. You want to tell me that we can't give people a good square, the size, the length of their bodies, and say this is your spot? You mean to tell me we have people walking around who have no spot for themselves? And we're talking about this is a world that is so beautiful and wonderful. There's nothing. Nature is beautiful. Life is beautiful. But world, this place is not my home. But a lot of us out here talking about God, and yet this is our palace, our heaven. We can't even imagine not being here. The only time I have no desire to leave here is if when I leave here, I go to another place just like here. That's the only time. I don't have any attachment to this. I am ready when it's my time, ready to go. I don't even want a funeral. Just cremate my body, throw it somewhere and plant a tree there. That's it. Just remember, hopefully remember the good, if any, that I did. Love yourself. When I pass, don't spend too much emotion on me. Go find somebody who's alive to give that emotions to. To give those emotions to. Yes. That's how I feel about it. So for me, I think we have an option. You can stay or you can go. And I believe you have the right to exercise that option, and you should not be defamed for it, and you should not be demoralized for it. Because if the universe could have prevented anybody from self-inflicting, and this is the thing I always say, right? You could go to the top of a building threatening to jump off, and the same person who come and pull you back turn around and shoot you to death. So sometimes my question to mankind is, so someone should not commit this, but someone can kill them because they did something bad, or you think is justified. So is it that we don't want people to commit suicide, or is it that we think that should happen in a way that we can justify it? You know, because there are pains that people can't see. There's some pains you cannot see. And on that note, I want to go to the next story, the closing story that I have here, and I have a clip to play first.
Of trauma-informed theology. A lot of our sermons are coming from a lot of men and women who have never addressed their trauma. So that trauma actually informs their theology, and the information of their theology makes for their sick sermons. So now we are taking passages of scripture, seeing it through the brokenness of our trauma, and now we're preaching shake the haters off. God's going to prepare a table for you in the presence of your enemies so you can eat a steak dinner and laugh at all the people that thought you would have failed by now. That sermon's not getting anybody closer to Jesus, but it is getting somebody closer to your open wound. And then you're triggering everybody else's trauma, and then our churches need to become more trauma-informed from the top down. We need for people to understand that the Sunday celebration is not community. That's an event. I take my family to an event on Sunday. I don't go to community on Sunday. I have community with y'all all week. Like, this is the stickiness of community. We're wrestling with stuff, and we're asking questions, and we're trying to get answers, and we're bringing up stuff, and we're dealing with the discomfort of it, and we may agree with each other, we may not. Like, that's community.
That's true.
Sunday is call and response. Can I get an amen? Amen. That's not community. That's a gathering. Sunday's dope. I like going to our Sunday service. It's great. But Monday through Saturday is when we wrestle with stuff. We don't get to wrestle with nothing on Sunday.
Boom.
And then you're triggering everybody else.
Let me tell you, thank God for coaching. Coaching was what helped me understand how to use my trauma effectively, efficiently, and correctly. Because the trauma is not in vain. And what he spoke about is something I witnessed. But this is what I tell myself, because I know who God is. I don't believe in God anymore. Because you see, the depression that I went through, the suicidal ideation, everything I went through was God's breakdown. And when I did my self-work, I had breakthroughs. So one of the things, and my biggest breakthrough, is that now I know God. And to the extent that I call it God is because that's the word I have. And I value and respect that God knew what he was doing when he created me in a certain culture, in a certain environment. So I respect it all, but I know who God is. I know who my God is. And because I know who my God is, I understand that he uses people the way he wants them to, wants to use them. And when it's their time to do something, they will. When it's time for them to go to coaching, they will. So the only thing I would say to people is, are you moving in disobedience? And how many times did God tell you to go get coaching, but you didn't go? Are you in disobedience? Because other than that, if him tell you to come bleed on the screen, then bleed on the screen. But I do experience where I see ministers who, my God, if they got coaching, man, the power of their story could be so amazing instead of the traumatic response in the story. Because there's a lot of ministries that it's trauma infested. It's not trauma empowered. It's trauma infested. It's like the trauma is not being used to uplift. It's being used as a emotional spa, an emotional, let us hang out here in these emotions, And like I said before, I'm not talking about anybody specific. I'm just speaking in general because I work in the faith-based space with multiple people. So I just want to say that. So here are so, and then there's the church. Let's talk about trauma-inspired theology. And you heard him speak about it, that video I wanted to reference. Before you choose a leader, ask, what is their trauma? And sometimes some of these churches, that are not getting the kind of support they're looking for, this is the reason. People are seeing the trauma, not your message. They're not seeing the solution you bring because your solution is clouded by the trauma that you're carrying. So before you choose, ask, what is their trauma? Do they own it? Do they demonstrate healing? Because too often we don't get spirit-led sermons, we get trauma-led ministries. If your leader cannot tell you straight up what their weakness is and show you how that weakness, how their program is set to empower people with that weakness, then you should question, why are you here? I'm just going to put that. So a pulpit can echo wounds just as loudly as it can echo the word. That's why leaders need therapy for 3 reasons. Here they are, that I identify 3 reasons. To name and process their own pain, to build healthier relationships with their flock, to serve sustainably without burnout or cycles of harm. And leaders need coaching. 1, for accountability beyond the pulpit. 2, for aligning passion with practical strategy. And 3, for shifting from survival to legacy. Coaching helps you use the trauma as a platform on which to stand rather than having it on your head burning you down, right? So trauma doesn't disqualify a minister. No, it does not. But unexamined trauma can hijack a ministry. Therapy and coaching aren't indulgences. They're safeguards for both shepherd and sheep. If you don't know your trauma, you don't even know who you're supposed to be serving. Are we being led by spirit or by scars? If you or someone you love is struggling, in Jamaica, call 888 New Life. That's 888-639-5433. In the US, call or text 988. Anywhere else, visit findahelpline.com for local support, because the most dangerous lie is that you are alone. You're not. You're not alone. This has been allegedly episode 26. Until next time, stay well, stay aware, and never stop questioning the stories we tell. And I'll say this from my heart to yours. Walk in your truth, no matter how it looks, no matter how it sounds, no matter what people say, no matter what they do, whether they hear you or not, believe you or not. Walk in your truth. Find a way. Learn how to walk in your truth. Learn to know God for yourself. Learn to know what that supreme, that spirit is for yourself. Learn to know how he interacts with you personally. And please seek coaching. Coaching will help you get from trauma to not just healing, but how to use the trauma and who to use it with. Why did God put you through this? For who and for what? Coaching. That's how you learn that. And especially if you're a minister, you are obligated. You are obligated. Because you're leading people. And I really salute the people who who have anything to do with the work of anything called God, because whether it's the real God, wrong God, whatever, once you decide to go on a path that you choose to decide, I'm going to work for God, God bless you. Because I salute anyone who's trying. So seek coaching. Seek coaching. All right. So that's the end of our show for today. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. Please remember to like, share, subscribe. I'm Coach Raquel. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. And if I said anything at all that offended anyone, I apologize. That was not my intention. Okay. Not my intention. And please let me know so I can apologize to you directly, because it's not my intention to hurt. I gain nothing if you hurt. I want you to thrive. I want you to be well. That's what makes me happy. All right. So thank you so much. I love to open new packages. I will give you the latest information on the top funding opportunities for entrepreneurs who are seeking funding. Come along with me and Coach Raquel, and it is a passion project for me. So I am so happy to bring this to you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching.
Unlock your potential every Thursday with our podcast, Refresh, Relax, Renew. Join Coach Raquel as she guides you through personal development journeys. Each episode focuses on actionable steps to enhance your personal journey. The podcast features 3 main segments to keep you engaged. We start with discussions on trending topics relevant to your growth. Then we unbox solutions to common challenges we face daily. Finally, stay updated with fresh funding opportunities each week. Tune in every Thursday for new episodes, and see you there.
Welcome to mycoachministry.com. We're on a mission to empower 1 million purpose-driven entrepreneurs, turning calling into currency. Through strategic coaching, we guide visionary leaders, brand elevation, and creative empowerment, helping leaders break barriers and own their identity. Build impactful, wealth-generating brands that echo across generations.